That's a good beer. Well, the next concert of the Rochester Symphony is called an opera affair. And you mentioned that word opera, and you get some awfully strong reactions. Some people absolutely love it, a lot of people absolutely hate it, but very few people feel neutral about it. Well, this is a concert for people who love opera, and it's a concert for people who hate opera. I think the reason a lot of people hate opera is the reason I used to hate mushrooms. They never really tried it very much. I looked at a mushroom and I said, ugh, I don't want to eat that. I told everybody I didn't like mushrooms. Then one day I tried them and said, not so bad, I'll try some more. And eventually I developed a real taste for mushrooms. Well, opera's like that. It's a developed taste. It's like coffee or wine. Some people never develop the taste, but a lot of people do if they give it a chance, and this is the time to give it a chance. Why? Because if you're like me and you go to an opera, you sit through the quarter an hour, half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, waiting for that wonderful moment, okay? We took out all those half hours of less interesting music. We have only the wonderful moments in this concert. Now, who are the greatest composers for opera? 4 of them: Mozart, Verdi, Wagner, Puccini. We start with Mozart. Mozart's, I think, greatest opera is Le Nozze di Figaro, The Marriage of Figaro. He wrote beautiful symphonies, he wrote beautiful concertos and sonatas, but I think the best thing he wrote was opera. And in this story, you have a lot of scurrying around and helter-skelter stuff, a real zippy overture. And you also have wonderful, tender moments. There's a scene near the end, which is my wife's favorite scene in all of opera, where a husband begs his wife for forgiveness. I can't figure out why she likes that one so much. And then it just ends with great joy. We go on to Verdi. Verdi wrote an opera based on the enslavement of the Hebrew people by the Babylonians, and the chorus in which they remember Zion and remember their homeland is one of the most beautiful things ever created. Wagner was the most innovative composer in all of opera, and everybody knows his wedding march. Many people have gotten married to it. We're going to do it as Wagner wrote it, in the opera, with the chorus and the orchestra, tender, lovely. We're also going to do the driving, dynamic Ride of the Valkyries, and I think the noblest music in all of opera, the closing scene of the Master Singers of Nuremberg, the Maestro singer, very ennobling. It's Wagner at his best. Tchaikovsky is not known as an operatic composer. He's known as a ballet composer. So we're not going to do excerpts from the singing part of his opera. We're going to do a ballet from his opera, because that's what he wrote best, his Polonaise from Eugene Onegin. And then finally we get to Puccini. Whoops, we're not doing Puccini. Why not one of the great opera composers? Well, we're emphasizing our chorale, which sounds so wonderful this season. And Puccini, frankly, didn't write any really great choruses in his operas. So instead, we're going to do one by his friend Pietro Mascagni. Wrote at the same time, wrote in the same style. You almost can't tell them apart. Mascagni wrote an Easter hymn in his opera Cavalleria Rusticana, and it's pretty seasonal now too, which is so gorgeous that when it's all done, my heart is so full, I almost can't go on. It's that beautiful. Make a stop in America too with Aaron Copland, who isn't also known as an opera composer, but he wrote 2 choruses in his opera The Tender Land, which I think are the 2 greatest choruses ever written by an American. One's just a barn dance. It's called Stomp Your Foot. That's what you do. That's what it sounds like. The other, The Promise of Living, tells about creating the American community of brotherhood and working together and caring together better than any other music or words that I know. How do we end? With Alexander Borodin's Polovetzian dances from Prince Igor. What? Who's ever heard of any of that stuff? The thing is, it's the wildest music I know from opera. So we go to Borodin, who was really a physician, just wrote music on the side. He was the greatest amateur composer who ever lived. And he created this wonderful scene in which the Polovetzians, who are from the middle of Asia, just dance their wildest stuff. There's one gorgeous little melody which got to be known very well in the 1950s in recording by Tony Bennett called Strangers in Paradise. And then we move on to the most electric music I've ever heard in an opera, and the chorale gets louder and louder, the orchestra gets faster and faster, and at the end we all collapse in exhaustion, and I hope the audience does too, in exhaustion and thrilled. That's our opera affair, and it's on Saturday and Sunday, March 11 and 12. Saturday at 7:30, Sunday at 2, and tickets are available by calling us at 28-MUSIC, rochestersymphony.org, or just come early to the concert. You don't want to miss this one. It's maybe the most thrilling concert we've ever done. Here's to an opera affair. Cheers.